Okay, so I think all of us have had a teacher that's like really attractive, and I'm not gonna lie, there are moments in my life where I've done things to attractive teachers that I kind of regret, and obviously that leads to mostly embarrassment. But today's story is about how I got really embarrassed from this one teacher that had a massive, well, yeah, or in other words, peach. But before we get into it, make sure you guys do leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Seriously, it means a lot when you guys do, and let's just jump straight into this. Yo, what is going on, you guys? My name's Bubba, and welcome back to a really embarrassing story. So today's story all takes place back in my grade 10 year. Now in grade 10, I'm not gonna lie to you, around this time, I was really, well, not the most healthiest person. If I had the opportunity to do the devil's tango or anything like it, I would jump at it like it was like no tomorrow. Actually, to be honest, I don't know what was wrong with me back in grade 10. Obviously, if you guys are big fans of the channel, you guys would know that a lot of the time on this channel, I would do things that are pretty risky for the average person. But I remember one time in grade 10, I was going into my social studies class, and we ended up having a teacher that was, well, not originally our teacher. You see, for social studies class in grade 10, we had a teacher that was mostly an old guy, and he was really annoying and pretty racist. Why was a racist guy teaching social studies? Well, I have no idea, but this one day I remember I walked in there and it was a totally different teacher. Now this teacher was a woman, and she was really nice looking from the front, and she had a really attractive face. But I remember when she actually stood up from her chair and actually walked up to the whiteboard, let's just say when she got up, a lot of people noticed the one thing about her that was, well, really appealing, and I guess got most of the guys bricked up. And now where's her peach? Now her peach was massive. Like, I'm not joking. Like, if Humpty Dumpty wasn't sitting on the wall, it was definitely inside her. That sounds really unmature, but you guys get what I mean. This teacher had a really massive GYATT, and well, to be honest, I didn't really know what to say and nor what to look at, because the whole time when she was teaching, most of the guys were looking at the whiteboard, then looking back at the GYATT, and it just went back and forth to the point where, I'm not gonna lie, I think the teacher started to kind of notice that she was getting stared at in different ways. Now for the first day, she didn't do anything. She looked at all of us and said, okay, just focus on your assignments, class, and just went back to work. But obviously the next day, well, she was still our substitute teacher for some reason. And I remember this time when she walked up to the whiteboard, she was mostly standing as if she was not trying to turn around and show the entire class her amazing peach. And I remember most of the guys were pretty like annoyed by that. And I remember the one time when she actually ended up turning around, we ended up seeing one guy in the back of the classroom trying to take a photo of her massive peach. Yes, this was extremely creepy. And yes, the teacher was really weirded out, and she did notice, because as you guys may know on iPhones, like when you take a photo of something and you accidentally do something like this, it's really embarrassing. So obviously at this point, I guess my teacher was really annoyed, and she got to the point where she actually ended up taking everyone's phones in the classroom, even the girls' phones. I have no idea why. I guess she was just trying to make it so everyone had an even chance not taking a photo of her. Now this is where the story gets worse and worse, because I remember the next day, our substitute teacher ended up coming back into the classroom. Same woman with the massive, well, peach. And she walked in there, and this time she was wearing something really baggy, meaning that she was wearing like a really big jacket, and like to the point where she was kind of wearing like a dress kind of look, where to be honest, you couldn't really recognize the GYATT. And me at this point, I think this was the only time when she was here where I actually ended up paying attention to class. As creepy as that sounds, but let's be real here, I was a teenager. All teenagers are creepy that way, but you know, as a teen, I guess this was the only time where I was actually able to focus into the class, and things ended up, you know, being better until, well, something really bad happened, where I remember one of the students ended up walking up in front of the class when she was turned around writing on the whiteboard. And this student decided to basically step on the teacher's dress, and well, let's just say it ended up ripping, because she was so panicked of why a student was behind her. She freaked out, went, oh my goodness, what are you doing? And her whole bottom half dropped. Yeah, let's just say everyone got a full view of the GYATT. And let's just say a lot of guys ended up taking pictures and sharing it around school. Now obviously our teacher was really mad about this. She was really mad to the point where she did not want to come back. But obviously sometimes when you have a job and you don't want to do it, you still got to do it. That's just the way life works. Everyone has to work for a reason. Did the guy get in trouble for, you know, stepping on the dress? Obviously, but he claimed it was an accident, so I guess, you know, a slap on the wrist was all he got from the principal. Now knowing this and knowing how much the teacher was basically being, I guess, harassed in a way, obviously at this point I thought it would be cool if I just, you know, ended up not being that guy, meaning that I kind of just resisted looking, and I kind of just ended up basically being the only student in the class where I tried basically paying attention other than the girls. But me as a guy, I remember I would put up my hand up for questions, and I would, you know, try to be a good student, because obviously at this point I felt really bad. Everyone knew that the only thing good about this teacher was her massive peach. So me trying to be Mr. Nice Guy, I remember one time after class that day of me being really good to her and being responsible, I guess I would say, okay? She ended up basically telling me to stay after class. Now, when she asked me to stay after class, I was really confused. In my mind, I was going, wait, why does she want to see me? What did I do? I was being good. At least I thought I was. Wait, she's talking about the other days? Wait, why is she bringing me in? And me thinking I was in severe trouble, I remember all the students ended up leaving the classroom, and then the teacher walked up to me in front of my desk. She looked at me and said, Baba, I have a question. Yeah, what's up? Are you, gay by any chance? I remember I looked at her with my eyes wide open. I'm like, wait, what? You think I'm gay? Wait, what? What? Ew, no. Yes, I did say ew, but remember, this was a time where like the LGBTQ community wasn't as, I guess, loud. But going on with the story, I remember she ended up saying, oh, well, like, I don't know, like, you just seem like you're not like attracted to me like the other students. And I was just hoping if you could explain why they're acting like so immature. At this point, I remember I looked at her with my head kind of tilted saying, well, you do realize you're in a high school, right? Obviously, all guys and everyone's hitting puberty. It's like middle schoolers, but to the max. She ends up laughing and basically talking to me, and one thing led to another. I remember she ended up basically like, you know, kind of in a way, I guess, flirting with me. I found it really odd, and I found it really kind of weirded out because at first you thought I was gay, but then now you're flirting with me. Like, it makes no sense. And also, I'm a student. You're the teacher. Now, at this point, I didn't really know what to say, and obviously I was being kind of nervous, and I was like, you know what? Is there anything else you need? And she ended up basically sending me on my way. Now, when I left the classroom, I remember I was really weirded out, and I had some friends waiting for me outside of the classroom, and when they heard that I stayed in there with that teacher, all of them came up to me asking me questions like, yo, what happened? Did you see her GYATT even more? Yo, did she like show you some of the special stuff again? And I was like, no, like, it was nothing like that, when in reality it was something like that. Now, me going to school the next day hoping that my normal teacher would come back, the old guy that was racist, apparently he wasn't coming back until next week because, well, I guess he found out that his wife has cancer or something. I have no idea. And basically me going back into the school, I was kind of weirded out because I ended up seeing the teacher right away in the hallway in the morning. Now, in the morning when I saw her in the hallway, I remember she kind of like pointed her finger at me, telling me to come closer to her, and I walked up to her saying, oh, like, yeah, what's going on? She looked at me and said, Baba, I have a question for next week. I was planning on like doing this like project assignment for everyone to do, but at the same time though, I want to like get your advice on if it's good or not. I ended up saying like, well, what kind of project is it? And she said she wanted to show me, but apparently the project wasn't at school, it was at her house. Now, I thought, you know, she was gonna probably like bring it the next day like any normal teacher would, but apparently this teacher was so persistent on me coming over to her house where she said, I mean, if you come over and like look at it at my place, I'll just, you know, give you an A and you don't have to do the assignment. At this moment, I didn't know what to say. In my mind, I was thinking, well, an instant A would be really good, and on top of that, my parents would be super proud of me to the point where they would buy me a new video game. But at the same time though, in my mind though, I knew that going to her house might be the biggest risk ever. So me trying to like, you know, really think it through, I remember one of my friends were kind of like near the lockers where me and this teacher were having a conversation, and he was freaking out at the entire thing. Like, he was like giggling, laughing, and my phone was literally vibrating over and over because he was freaking out at me saying, bro, just go to her house. I remember when the teacher walked away, I didn't know what to say. I didn't know what to do, and I was really weirded out on why this teacher liked me so much. And then on top of that, my friend did walk up to me saying like, yo, this teacher wants to smash. Like, just do it. She wants to do the devil's tango. But obviously, knowing my past history with me doing the devil's tango with my teachers, obviously it wasn't a good idea. I remember the day went on, and you know, social studies class came up, the one that, you know, the teacher with the massive GYATT was teaching. And I remember I walked in there and I sat in the back of the class to kind of like avoid any conflict or any ideas that I might like her back. You know, I was just trying to be like that, like mature person, I guess, in a way. And I remember when I sat in the back of the classroom, the teacher stood up literally right in front of me and said, oh, Baba, you should sit in the front. I need you for like some examples. Examples is what I said. And then I remember I sat in the front of the classroom because she told me to, and you can't say no to the teacher apparently. And when I sat in front of the classroom, I looked at her and I was basically, you know, going on with class. But then there was one moment where she did something very, well, unreal, to the point where I remember this teacher with the massive GYATT looked at me and said, can you answer this question for me? I ended up walking up to the board, and right as I walked up to the board, I remember she kind of like bent over in a way because like apparently she dropped the marker, and her whole peach was against my well, I would say more, but I can't because YouTube demonetization is a real thing and I don't want to get in trouble. But let's just say, yeah, I felt that whole thing against me. Now at this point I didn't know what to say, and a lot of people in the classroom like freaking out saying like, no way, like, oh my goodness, like Bubba's gonna get some. And me being the type of person to have a fight or flight kind of reaction, and me also being super embarrassed, I ended up running out of the classroom. I ran out of there so fast to the point where I I was just not having it. And I was so weirded out and I was so like nervous to the point where I ran to the bathroom and I sat in there for like 20 minutes. After 20 minutes went by, I remember I was called down to the office because I wasn't showing back up to class. And obviously I do have a record of being in the office a lot since, you know, high school wasn't my strongest suit. And when I went to the office, I remember the principal was asking me why I wasn't in class and I had to explain to him everything. I explained how this teacher had a massive GYATT and how everyone was just so appealed by her. And basically I ended up showing him the photos that everyone started taking because, well, everyone posted a photo of her peach. And long story short, let's just say the teacher ended up not being our substitute teacher anymore. But hey, what can I say? Maybe if I continue talking to her, maybe I can pull her now. Anyways, guys, that is basically it for today's story. Make sure you guys do leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Seriously, it means a lot when you guys do. And like I always say, fall for more embarrassing stories. Peace out, guys.